Odysseus-The Epic Myth of the Hero, Book 15. With no sure way to mark the hour, my mind began to rhythm of its own. I swung from fears I'd entered my own coffin to dear hopes that I would be reborn from that malignant wound, end the war that ate into my heart like worms. At length we struggled up a hill and came to rest. The sounds of demolition filled my ears. Priam ordered that the lintel high above the Scaean gate be raised to let the wooden horse pass through unscathed. And so we entered Troy and came to rest upon a sacred citadel. The Trojans fell to drunken merrymaking as the seventh full moon of the year rose up in clustered stars men call the Scorpion. We sat and clutched our blades until the bloody wanderer, red Mars, came up, along with glowing Saturn, and the moon was just at its height. Just as I was about to set to spring the trap door, freeing us, a drunken woman came and kneeled below and slurred this prayer to bright Athena. Goddess, dearest to my heart of all immortals, thank you for allowing peace to grace the streets and countryside of Troy again. We grieving women grew so weary of the war. The tears that Trojan women shed could fill the sea if ever it ran dry for all the loved ones lost. My husband dear, Acmagoras, that warlike spirit of the marketplace, who lived for trade and died upon Achaean spears. My oldest brother, untamed Admetus, stabbed right through the heart with pitiless sharp bronze. And then my eldest boy, who stole away behind the fighters marching out to battle for their homeland, captured by Achilles, stubborn Sterope, played at war, but nonetheless did lose his life as sacrificial victim at the funeral rites for murderous Achilles' fallen friend Patroclus. You comfort me, Athena dear, with all your strength of mind. My heart has given much to keep Troy's walls intact, her people safe inside, but I do not begrudge my sacrifice. A lot of other women lost as much or more than me. I praise you, goddess bright with wisdom of the earth. I thank you sparing me a death by tearing bronze. I thank you saving Trojan homes from all-consuming fire. I thank you most for never letting me or any of my girls become a slave to some Achaean woman, haughty with her husband's victory, our men long dead, and now no base Achaean man will ever make a whore of me. I pledge my love and true devotion for as long as I shall live, and ever will adorn your shrine with happy flowers, burning fragrant incense every day. All praise to bright Athena, wise and merciful. This said, I killed the tender feelings welling up this drunken woman's prayer unleashed inside my heart and sprang the trap door. Now the son of Portheus, impetuous Echion, pushed his way past all the rest and was the first to jump, but snagged his foot, fell upon his chin, almost on top of that sad woman. She never stirred, nor did unhappy Echion, whose neck was snapped. Now we silent brotherhood of war dropped one by one to earth, reborn as sons of Ares. Our eyes gleamed red and hateful as an arson's torch. Our bodies shuddered as we sucked fresh air into our lungs. We gathered in the shadows, gripping blades of gleaming bronze. A gang of Trojan drunkards stumbled past, but hardly made a sound, so quickly did we cut their throats. We got our bearings and ran and swung down to the Scaean gate past all the foolish revelers who hardly paid us any heed, so blind they were for joy. And everywhere we went we set a fire. The city blazing sent a signal to the ships to hasten back, and now Achaean fighters spread across the plain, running for the walls of Troy. We, silent brotherhood of war, forsake our vow and screamed as we attacked the Scaean gate and killed the drunken guards and set Troy's last defense ablaze. We held the towers strong against all desperate Trojan efforts till the army of Achaea stormed the beach. The charge was led by bold Diomedes of Argos, outraged Menelaus, the king of Sparta and Helen's fool, the Cretan king and spearman Idomeneus, the son of dead Achilles, Neoptolemus, and Agamemnon, first among the first. For fighters bred in bold Achaea follow kings into the greatest danger with a laugh, but never do so bidden from the rear like Oriental slaves whose master watches on and never shares the peril with his comrades. This is why Achaeans merit conquest of the world. Now Menelaus in fury bid me follow him to where Prince Deiphobos concealed the beauty Helen in his lawless bed, along the screaming lanes toward Priam's palace, higher, deadlier to reach, more women and children killed than men, numbers sprawling in the gutters, the cobblestones all glistened in the spreading flames, as if a shower out of heaven wet the streets instead of lifeblood running. I've often killed in war, honorably and otherwise, but never did I fight a man more desperate than Deiphobos. We met him at his door, and he with spear and shield would bar our way to Helen, who screamed 1,000 curses deep within. We poked and jabbed our way inside until our cheeks ran red from grazing wounds, and blood began to trickle down into the corners of our mouths. We fought like titans then, and not like men, for walls began to tumble with our thrusts, and at our feet the fires of hell erupted. We pushed him back, myself and Menelaus, and beat him down with jabs from leaf-shaped blades of bronze that found his thrusting arm and naked legs. He stood there still, vital but hampered by his wounds, and snuck a lucky thrust right past the shield of Menelaus and sought to drive a kill shot to the throat. He dropped his shield a bit while thrusting, and so I struck him with an overhand right cross straight to the temple, and the spear point drove clean through his head and shattered teeth and jaw and broke out through the other cheek. He slid off of my blade, his eyes start staring, dead before he came to rest upon the tiled floor. Now Menelaus slid down a column in his own dear blood and motioned me to go and fetch his long-lost wife to him, the love whose beauty cost Achaea lives too dear to number. I found the bitch concealed inside her closet full of clothes and crying to the goddess for her mercy, naked golden curls falling past her perfect collarbones, her reddened claws shaking. Upon my bloody spear I offered her a robe, and while she dressed, her cunning and composure came back to her. And once she saw that she was his again, bedazzled Menelaus forsook his vow to cut her throat upon the massive graves of fighters fallen in battle, where the ship of brave Protesilaus was burnt. And now I ran into another part of Priam's palace, where flames had not yet reached. I found the king amid his idols, guards all dead but two, who fought with dozens backing up a narrow stair. His wife, the mother of true Hector, sonless Hecuba, watched on, a hank of her gray curls wound tight up in a fierce Achaean fighter's fist, his blade at rest where neck and collarbone connect. O Anticlea, mother of my own, I thank the gods you never suffered such a fate. That's why we fought this bloody war. In this world we do not understand. Things are either done or suffered. Every pitfall sidestepped only leads on to another. To live just one more moment, anything can happen. Always right and wrong are changing places. Thank you, bright Athena, sparing Anticlea such a death. And then the son of dead Achilles, Neoptolemus, unleashed his spear, made a mighty cast. The point drove underneath one slow-guard shield and found his thigh. The valiant fighter sank down on one knee and took another 7 spears. His mate now slipped in blood and clattered to his death, and Neoptolemus cut the head of aged Priam from his shoulders, where he prayed to Zeus beneath a fragrant laurel tree. the moon so big and round and cold above. I turned to Hecuba to try to save what could be saved of oaths I've sworn when she once had me at her mercy. Her eyes were glassy, wrung dry of tears, not looking up to heaven nor down to Hades, as if they'd lost their fill of light and longed to close for good. I called out to the fighter just as he was fit to plunge his blade into her soft and wrinkled neck, and with a sneer he stayed his hand. Then fallen Hecuba, the last and greatest queen of Troy, addressed me with these weary words and said, "You swore 1,000 oaths to save your skin. Now look at what your lies have brought to pass. The grandest city in the world reduced to ash and blood and lamentation. The whore at heart of all the strife returned and welcomed home and maybe even pitied. Singers will regale their kings with songs about her beauty and the men who fought to get her back. But who will sing about my family chopped and hacked and left for spoil of dogs and swarming vultures? There is only one person whom I pity more than me, myself, and that is you, Odysseus. For what you've done has marked you out for suffering that very few who walk this earth that eats us all could shoulder and endure. And if you make it back to Ithaca and sweet Penelope, your fame will rest, not on your deeds in war, nor on your cunning mind, but on the depth of woe your heart endured. I need not prophesy that the monsters that await you for the things you've done in life, I think you are wise enough to know they smell you coming." The said Agamemnon, king, covered in hot blood, now strode into the conquered courtyard. He helped his brother Menelaus to his feet and clapped him to his chest. And then he turned to Helen, standing there beside her heartsick man, and with the back of his left hand struck her hard across her fulsome lips. The mother of 1,000,000 wounds now staggered, and her golden curls concealed her face. She brushed her hair away and met King Agamemnon's glare with bedroom eyes, and touched the corner of her daring mouth and licked the blood off of her fingertip. Wishful Menelaus now moved to give her comfort, and she melted in his arms. King Agamemnon shuddered in disgust, then whirled to face the laughter of the Trojan queen who spoke these bitter words. Boys grow to realize their appetites and claim they know their minds. Here lust is stronger than justice. Execute the whore. That might just be your only chance to set the world to rights, and let your future generations think your cause were noble. The way it stands, they'll laugh and wonder how such weak and silly men were kings. This world cannot be powered by divinity. When noble Hector dies defending kith and kin, and Helen prospers as the object of hot, ruinous desire. What painful mystery the life of woman is. Agamemnon spoke in answer to this fallen queen. You are too old to slave, and far too dangerous to leave behind. You dare to doubt the gods because you cannot understand their ways. Well, set your mind to fathom this. Of all the mandates given man by gods, victory is chief. Now thank the gods or curse your fate, for you must die. Agamemnon sat down and gestured to a soldier. Hecuba now threw herself down at his feet and clasped his knees and took him by his beard and begged, "Just grant me one last boon. The Queen of Troy surely merits this." To this King Agamemnon gravely nodded in assent, and Hecuba continued, "Killing me will surely bring a fighter glory for all time. Therefore let enduring Odysseus be the one to free me of this sad and lonely life." All there then understood the curse she further heaped upon my head for failing in my oath to save her kin. And so I walked behind this ancient kneeling woman, muttering in prayer. I placed the tip of my sharp blade where neck and collarbone connect, and drove the pitiless blondes straight down into her heart. The work that Helenus began when he delivered the dread Palladium was now complete. But horror had its aftermath, for then the seer Calchas entered, pulling a woman by the hair. She bore a screaming baby in her arms. It was Andromache, the wife of Hector, and the baby was his son, Astyanax, the little lord of burning Troy. He tossed her at my feet, and in her fall her main concern was how to shield her boy from harm, and so she landed painfully. The seer Calchas raised his gory arms and laid another doom upon Odysseus. There are at least two faces to the simplest things in life. Poor man is born a killer in this violent world of hunting to survive. Yet war is not a natural act to men. They must be roused to fight each other. It requires all the ingenuity a politician can command to keep his people at it long. There is a wartime logic that would be sheer madness in a time of peace. We killed this boy's great father, razed the walls of his beloved city, burnt his home and shrines, and lastly made a slave of his dear mother. Such a boy would grow to be a vengeance-seeking man. Remember well that this is Hector's son. Hector, baneful, manslaughtering Hector. With half of his father's skill, he'd grow to be a terror to us in our age. It would be false compassion if we let him live. Though nothing more than a simpering babe in swaddling clothes, think what a hateful menace he would be to our own dear children should we not eliminate this threat. The child must die. Apollo wills it, and who is better to carry out the deed than he who is the author of our unity? I speak of wise Odysseus, the one who bound the whole of brave Achaea to the cause of getting Helen back and freeing trade beyond the Hellespont. The words of Calchas whispered like a cold north wind upon a nerve exposed. Telemachus, my son, you are a dream I daily touch upon and live to see again one far-off day when gods and war have done with me. Yet you are little better than a stranger, so much has life kept us apart. You might as well have been an orphan for all the fathering you have. To have a father is to resent him. To lack one is to miss him. Anger, wonder, love, somewhere between. But I would strike the heart of God to save my only son. I did not fight the bloody war to lose my boy to business left unfinished when my heart grew faint of killing. And so I ripped the terrifying baby from his pleading mother's arms and threw him from the walls of Troy. O gods, I beg you honor all the peace of mine I've sacrificed to save my son. Enduring, Odysseus rolled over on his back to check the lateness of the stars and had just one more thought about his years at Troy. Men often say when war has made them weary, when kings quarrel, kings should settle all their differences themselves and not set poor men fighting for them. I wish that champions could duel it out and women never had to die in war, nor children, nor a city to have its walls destroyed, nor even need a wall to feel secure. Each side provide a champion, winner take all. But men would not abide by such agreements, for it is not only kings who are ambitious, and all will brave a wound or a broken heart to make their daring dreams come true. I cannot feel the gods despise me for my acts in war. My strategies saved lives. So why does this sick guilt persist? What horrid hidden memories clamor to find voice before I drowned? There is yet another story I must tell inside myself. It seems that all went before just as a way to find an honest start. So now I'll speak about the man of whom I hate to think, but this will take me back to when I first discovered love with sweet Penelope, and even way before.